everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Happy Sunday. Like I said in my previous video, today I wanted to talk a little bit about something called Marisol, which is the first international Puerto Rico pop festival. It's kind of like a Woodstock, but even worse, so to speak. And before I talk to you about the actual event, let me talk to you a bit about how the 7-inch record fell into my hands. So the first thing is I didn't know that I didn't know that there were 7-inch records made for this event. I have seen the album. There's an album going around, and the album doesn't have the entire list of songs. The album that you find out there contains about 10 songs from a total of probably 20 or more. But I'll explain about that in a few. Now, first thing that I have to say about this is 2 years ago I went on vacation to Tennessee, and I decided to visit an antique store because I love antiques, and I like to always get something from wherever it is that I'm visiting. So I decided to check out an antique store, and I saw a section, tables and tables filled with records, 12-inch and 7-inch records. And so I decided to just browse and start looking, and it so happens that I saw this 7-inch record, and I knew what it was, and that's why I picked it up and bought it. But, you know, as anybody who purchases records will do, the first thing I did was to take it out and check it out and see if it was in good condition, scratch, warped, whatever. So the first thing that caught my eye was that, first of all, it's not the big hole. It's the small hole, which is unusual for this part of the world. Normally, you see the small hole in Europe and in London and other countries, but in the U.S., it's, you know, typically you have the large hole. So that was the first thing that attracted my attention. And second thing was that shocked me even more was that this thing doesn't spin at 45 RPMs. This thing spins at 33 1/3 RPMs, which is not usual for a 7-inch record. And even more so unusual is that it has 2 songs on one side. On the other side, you have one song still at 33 1/3. But 2 songs on one side at 33 1/3 for a 7-inch record. So immediately I knew that I had something very, very rare, even if it is, you know, something that nobody remembers. There's nothing memorable about this event. But yeah, I brought it with me. The reason why this event is not remembered by most people is because of the notoriety it generated and all the things that happened. It wasn't televised. Newspapers covered the event, but it wasn't televised. No documentaries were ever made. No interviews were made. Everything was a complete mess. There was no organization whatsoever. And so the information that I'm going to share with you regarding this event, you can see the whole thing on Wikipedia. You can search for it as Marisol Pop Festival. And by the way, Marisol is the Spanish for, like it says there, sea and sun. That's what mar means. Sea, and sun is for sol. So there you go, Marisol. Now, the event was held on a beach called Los Tubos, and that's in Manati. But at that time, there was a bit of a confusion, and it was mistakenly thought to be part of Vega Baja, another town of Puerto Rico that is near to Manati. But the beach is in Manati. So the event was held between April 1st and April 3rd. At least the original date was supposed to be April 1st to April 3rd, but it ran until April 4th. So there was a total of 4 days of festival going on. And back then, I don't know if you can see it here, the tickets for the entrance was for $15. So if you go to an inflation calculator and you punch in $15 in 1972, it translates to about what, maybe $25 in today's money, probably a bit more. I don't know, but that was the ticket price for that date. And the reason why I'm taking this information from Wikipedia is, like I said before, there were no documentaries made, no interviews, and the newspapers only focused on the controversy and the events surrounding the festival. That, the only place where you can get some information on this is Wikipedia. So there you go. So anyway, the reason why this event generated so much notoriety, it was covered by North American newspapers like the New York Times, Dream, and local newspapers like El Nuevo Día, El Imparcial, the San Juan Star. And so the general consensus was that it was a disaster, but there was some people who say it was a success. Yeah, of course, it was supposed to be like a Puerto Rican version of Woodstock. So yeah, the people who went there to do questionable things, yeah, it was a success for them. So, but apart from that, there were several accidental deaths at the beach. There was a murder, and so those things severed the festival's reputation. And so there was an arrest warrant issued for the promoter at that time. And apparently the promoter avoided arrest by leaving the island before the festival was over. So there you go. But one of the cool things about this festival is that the list of artists that was presented, it was a huge list of artists. It's not the names that you see here, they're not the only ones who were supposed to perform. The list was actually large, as you can see here very briefly. Like, you have names like the Allman Brothers, and you have Alice Cooper, and you have Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Jay Gau's Band, Billy Joel, B.B. King, Herbie Mann, Rubber Band. And John Lennon was supposed to perform, but he couldn't. So what he did was he recorded a message and sent it with David Peel. And David Peel is he was a friend of John Lennon apparently, and he performed. David Peel performed, and he sent a recorded. John Lennon sent a recorded message with David Peel, and that recorded message was played during the live event. There are also artists who were supposed to perform, but they canceled. Black Sabbath was one of those. Fleetwood Mac also canceled performance. And the reason, as far as the information that I have here, is there was so much, there were so many things going on. They ran out of helicopters to carry the artists. Like, the traffic was so bad going to that place, they had to take the artists in helicopters, and they ran out of helicopters. So, Black Sabbath was waiting. Actually, they were waiting at the hotel for somebody to come pick them up. And there were no more helicopters available. And so it was decided that they would never make it in time due to the bad traffic. So they just they didn't play. Same thing with Fleetwood Mac, and there were other performers who couldn't perform. There were also other artists that were supposed to perform. Roberta Flack, Kenny Loggins and Jim Messina, Ashton Gardner and Dyke, Al Cooper, Billy Preston, and a couple others. So, yeah, the list of artists was so huge. And again, for a 3-day festival, that's quite a lot. And so while the event never actually released an official album, there was an album that was recorded for the event, and that's the album where these songs come from. The album has 10 songs. There were like 20 or 30 songs that were performed, maybe more, throughout the 3-day period, 4-day period. But only 10 made it into an official 12-inch single LP album. The rest of the songs, you can find them online. You can go online and you can search Marisol concert or Marisol festival, and you can find the entire list of songs on bootlegs, on MP3. And yeah, if you want to, you can go do that. You can go search for it and you're gonna find it. You can download it and you can do whatever you want with it. Nobody's gonna claim copyright on that. The only thing that was ever done to like commemorate this event was the 1982 celebration of the 10th anniversary, which again, you know, it was a 10th anniversary celebration, and it was held in San Juan, in a hotel in San Juan. It was called Remember Marisol. The concert was organized with a different producer, and the only original performer to return was David Peel. None of the other artists returned. Go figure. And there's not much information around for this revival concert. So again, like unlike Woodstock, like, you know, there's a lot of people that remember Woodstock and know what Woodstock is. In Puerto Rico, pretty much nobody knows what Marisol is, except if you were there, or if your parents were there, or if you happen to read about it in the newspapers and you were living near the beach at that time. So only the people who were in that vicinity may remember something about it. But most people here, you talk about Marisol and they don't know about it. So I just hope that with what I'm sharing with you today, you know a bit more about this little event that happened in 1972. And again, the beach was Los Tubos in Manati. A lot of people thought that it was Vega Baja. It wasn't Vega Baja, it was Manati. And again, if you're watching this and you have a 7-inch record that spins at 33 1/3, please let me know in the comments. Tell me how it sounds, because quite frankly, even though this is intact, there's no scratch in it, it's not warped, it's in perfect condition, it sounds horrible because it's spinning at 33 1/3 and it has 2 songs on one side, and the only other song on the other side, it's a live presentation, so it doesn't sound too great. But like I said, if you have a 7-inch record spinning at 33 1/3, please let me know in the comments how it sounds, and if it has the large hole or the small hole. I'm kind of curious to see how many of those are out there. And if you happen to be in this event, share your experience in the comments below. Let me know if I said something that was wrong, that needs to be corrected, or if I was spot on. That's all for now. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you for watching.